The focus of this Monday's metacognition strategy will employ the skills learned last lesson, Sketchnotes. It has been great to see so many of you using images in your notes and hearing your positive feedback. Before we go back to Sketchnotes, I want to introduce or reintroduce you to Cornell Note-Taking, and it starts with a piece of paper and a ruler. The concept behind Cornell Notes is that the process itself encourages reflection. To make a Cornell note, you need to split your page into 4. Generally, it is recommended that the line is 1/3 of the page from the left and the same from the bottom, so it looks like this. During lessons, you make your notes in the widest part. The bottom of the page is used to summarise key information from your notes. After the lesson, or when you next come to revisit your learning, you use the left-hand side of the page for reviewing. Reviewing can take many forms, but generally the best things to use are summarising each paragraph or key questions to help you revise this part of your notes. Let's look at an example. This example shows what a Cornell note looks like during the review process. At the bottom is a basic summary of learning. This should not be longer than a couple of sentences. On the left-hand side is a mixture of key points and questions. These not only significantly reduce your notes and therefore the quantity to revise, but they also force your memory into action by challenging your brain to recall whole facts. Let's have a go. You have 30 seconds to continue reading through this before I ask you to recall the notes using only the review section. How much can you remember from these cues and questions? Again, I'll give you 30 seconds to write down as much as you can remember, just using the review notes. This is the second part of the review process, and where making Cornell notes is so effective for learning, as you are essentially pre-making revision notes to use for recall. You can come back to this over and over again. Answering questions or repeating key facts aloud is even more effective. Experts recommend that you should set aside time every week to review your notes. So, how does sketchnoting fit in here? Cornell Note-Taking is already a really effective revision tool, but using sketchnoting can really take your notes to another level. So what does a Cornell sketchnote look like? Using the psychology notes as an example again, I will show you how you might turn this into a Cornell sketchnote. Beginning with the title, use this as an opportunity to create notes that you will easily be able to find amongst all of your other notes. It should stand out and be recognisable. Quick sketches and different fonts is a really good way of doing this. When it comes to the main section of your notes, it is up to you how many images you use, but it is always advisable to use some to break up the text. It's really about how much you can manage in real time during a lesson. When it comes to the review column, again, it is up to you how you do this. You can either develop a set of icons that you use. For example, in psychology, you could have an icon to show where information is. This might be an icon for the name of the case study and researchers, one for methodology, and one for findings. This will mean that when you come to revise, you can easily find the information you need. Alternatively, you could use images to support your revision by giving you cues to aid recall. For example, the bell might aid you in the recall of the name of the researchers. The door and 20 hints at the methodology, and the final image supports the recall of the results of the experiment. All of these should be put together during the review sessions. So that is how to combine Cornell note-taking with Sketchnotes. As always, if you can show me an example of where they have been used in a lesson or in your independent study, you'll be entered into our weekly prize draw.